Let's talk about some of the hunter changes and the traits that changed in this update.
Yes. So Poison Sense is a kind of an obvious candidate. So we've kind of tried it out during the event that just ended, right? For the duration of the event, giving it an increased range, and we kind of stick with that change. So Poison Sense will have the 150-meter range as we tried out because we think there's a good change, and again, just a minor thing. Just make the whole thing feel nicer. And actually, something to try out when you're on a test server, when you have a chance to play the Stalker Beetle. Poison Sense is one of those traits that actually is also carrying over to the drone, like the view of the camera from the for that one. And if you are using the Stalker Beetle, you normally let's put it the other way around. Normally, you have the issue that you don't really want to go to dark side when you're in a combat, right? So that's what made Poison Sense less attractive, because unless the guy is really far away, you don't really want to like maybe risk losing information. With a Stalker Beetle, however, you are constantly in dark side, which means you kind of benefit a bit more passively from this and actually can use this. So just another thing to look at where we can kind of hint already at there's some synergy effects for you guys to try out.
It was also really fun during Serpent Moon to finally see more Poison Sense players as well. Highlighting Ari, our US community manager, who loves that trait, so it's a great change for him. But we also changed Ghoul in this update.
Yeah, so Ghoul so far on live basically means that you're kind of limited within range, and you can only do this with grunts. So we felt, why put the limit in? It feels kind of limiting anyway. Ghoul isn't really one of those traits that's used so much. So just a bit of an upgrade on that one. So if you have the trait and you do damage to a monster at any range, and that can no longer be just grunts, it can also be a hellhound, can be something else, it actually gives you a bit of health back as well. This is actually interesting, for example, if you go into melee with hellhounds and one of them bites you, just like by killing one or two of them, it might just top you up right above and you might not even lose that health chunk of health. It requires you to top up. So it's just a small thing, but it kind of adds a bit more value to Ghoul.
That's actually amazing. I already loved Ghoul, and it's even better now. But we also did some smaller changes to Conduit.
And yeah, Conduit is something that we kind of struggled a bit with in terms of, okay, how can we make this better? How can we make this more interesting? It's been actually one of the lesser used ones as well. So we basically now give you 5 minutes of stamina shot whenever you're picking up a clue or a boss token. So it means this becomes much more interesting, for example, for players who want to move fast, because you can kind of like move from clue to clue, top up those 5 minutes, get more speed, and actually like in the beginning of the map, just run around a lot faster, move a bit more around. So that makes the whole thing a lot more interesting for those who like and prefer the fast gameplay. But also is interesting, for example, for solo players. Like, so when you manage to snatch up a boss token, you actually know that you can kind of run away for 5 minutes, which kind of stacks also, for example, with Magpie, which might give you additional effects on top. So this is something which we think is really interesting for fast gameplay and kind of gives this whole thing a bit more value.
So can't wait to see them actually in game and people trying them out to experience how it changes up the gameplay a bit.